Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. We got a great interview for you today. Before we dive in, make sure you check out the website over at b2brevenue.com. And if you happen to see some of my content fly by on LinkedIn, please give it a like, comment, and share. I'll sum up the interview at the end, and here we go. Hey, John, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Thanks, Brian. I am, I thank you for the opportunity to participate. I am a longtime product manager and product marketer. I call myself a product manager trapped in the body of a product marketer. My career is about 15 years in that profession, helping to build and market successful solutions to market problems. That's what I do.
And help us for those who haven't either worked with a product marketer or a product manager. What's your main focus?
It's a good question. My current focus is in a product marketing role. I work in the areas of positioning, messaging, creating the marketing material, helping to get products off the shelf, supporting the sales teams, supporting marketing. I'm really an enabler. And what my current projects after this meeting, after this conversation, I'll be conducting a roadmap training session for my sales team so that they know what is in the next quarter of deliverables in our software product. So I work in B2B software, and so there's always something coming out, and I need to make sure that my sales teams know how to bring that to market and why it matters to customers.
And did you prefer the marketing side versus the product management side?
That's a great question. The first 10 years of that 15 were primarily product management. I was working on how to actually implement solutions to problems that markets of customers have. And over time, I've recognized my preferences and my skills really align better to the outbound, helping to get those messages and translate them into language that prospects understand.
Yeah, because I think that product management side is such a critical role within a company.
It is, and it's grown tremendously in the last, I'll call it 10 to 15 years, especially in software. Yeah. But as software sort of takes over everything, consumer goods companies are bringing in product people, retailers are bringing in product people. It's pervasive. And it's really a business role. So one of the big challenges in the product profession is that some folks look at product as a technical role and focus on working with engineers to build the optimal solution. Sometimes they overweight on that side and forget the market of customers they're actually solving problems for. Yeah. And I try to stay in the middle, but I think I lean a little more the other way. And really, every company has a different definition of what product management is, and they oftentimes need a different set of skills for it to really work well in that organization.
Yeah, because it's almost like the CEO of the product.
Correct. Yeah. And I think there's debate on that. So I tend to think it's true, except that the CEO actually has responsibility and has the authority, right? So the product manager has to influence. They have a broad business mandate, but they don't actually have direct reports for the most part. They have to be effective through other people, which means they have to bring data, they have to understand, they have to be able to storytell. Just like in sales, where you're going out at an individual prospect level and trying to build support, build a case, business case, help them understand why this solution will solve their business problem. The product manager has to do the same thing within the company, as well as understand what's happening outside. Yeah. And as a rep, you're hearing individual scenarios every day, and you're getting more direct face time with those customers than the product manager is, but they still have to understand well enough to provide a compelling solution.
Yeah, because you've got customers wanting something, salespeople wanting something, marketing wanting to reposition it to be cooler. And then you got engineers who want to do what they want to do.
Right. And it's hard to navigate all of that.
Yeah.
And some product folks are really, as I said, they really gravitate towards one side of that or the other. And is it the field facing side or the development and business side? And what I mean by business is sort of business planning, the total addressable market. Let's understand which playing field should we be in, and you really need somebody that's at least that's leading that part of the company, the product team that has all of that. It's a hard role to fill.
Yeah. And did that frustrate you? Is that why you leaned more to the marketing side of it?
I don't think it frustrated me, but not everyone is has equal preferences or equal skills on both sides of that. And
Yeah.
I've run product teams in a couple of different companies. One was a 30-something-year-old services company. We built out a set of software solutions and then were acquired. So I was in that role for a couple of years. And then another one was a high growth marketing tech startup called Terminus. And that was a completely different environment, but that was a similar thing of having to navigate all of those needs and opportunities. I just, over the years, at this point in my career, I said, you know what, I want to downshift a little bit and focus on some things that I really enjoy and be able to go home and not have the weight of the business keeping me up till 1 a.m. every night.
Yeah, I can
Work-life
imagine
balance
that.
thing.
Yeah, because I've done mostly startups, and when you find a great product manager,
Mhm.
it's magic, because what ends up happening is the engineers go off and build what's fun to build, and the salespeople try and get the biggest thing for this one deal that no one else uses, right?
Right.
And you got to balance that, and that's really hard to do.
The incentives are a little different across those
Yeah.
teams, and so there's a push pull in that relationship, as you well know. I am blessed right now. I found a company that has for a startup that is in, I think we're Series D, so it's not brand new, but it's about an 8-year-old company. They have a fantastic process for pulling in inputs from the sales team, from the current customers, and quantifying them. So we're good at understanding, well, here's the opportunity that actually ties to this many million in potential revenue or this much potential churn. And so we can make quantifiable data-driven decisions on what to build. And the other side of it, we're actually also fairly good at rolling out these roadmaps with the proper level of understanding. So I don't necessarily want to teach my reps every little nuance about every feature, but I want them to understand high level, we're going in this direction. We're helping enable integrations for large enterprise customers. We're helping to build out data analytics integrations so that we have a better understanding of risk, in our case, and compliance risk.
Yeah.
And I want to talk at that level, not, well, we've got a button that will open up this file and it will download this thing. Sometimes sales folks ask for it, but I want to make sure that when they're in front of a prospect, they have the right level of messaging to bring to talk to the business leaders
And
the economic buyers.
Within your current company, do you report to the CMO or a VP of marketing, or?
In this current case, I report to the VP of product, who owns both product management and product marketing.
Okay.
Sometimes product marketing reports to the CMO. Sometimes it's up to product. It just depends on the structure.
Because that would be a little weird, because you're producing a lot of the content, I would assume.
I'm producing some of the content. The marketing team, which is independent, has a writer. We have a content manager, content marketing manager, that drives a lot of the analysis of where in the funnel do we need more support.
Yeah.
Which products do we have covered better? Which ones do we need more material? And then we produce, like in product marketing, we'll produce the talking points, the outlines. Here's the messaging. You can help us build a blog post or an ebook or video to cover this particular talking point, which is an area where reps are having trouble getting past this objection in the sales process.
And does product report up into engineering or into CEO?
It's a VP level product management
Right,
product marketing team. So the VP reports to the CEO.
Okay, so it's separate from engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's probably smart.
Yeah, I've seen that handled both ways as well, and that can produce some interesting conflicts of interest if they report to the same
Right.
person.
Yeah.
because ultimately that if that executive is looking at, I need to get product out, all of a sudden you're throwing stuff out there that maybe shouldn't be.
Or the engineers don't want to work on something that's boring.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, they want to work on something that's new and exciting and cutting edge and fun.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a
Yeah, it's
conflict
interesting to
there.
be in a field such as compliance and risk management. It's not the most glamorous of the of the profession, so to speak.
Yeah.
Especially, and I'll tell you the contrast for me walking into a company that's in compliance versus a company that's in marketing tech is pretty dramatic from a culture standpoint. And in one sense, so there's a marketing, you'll get a lot of over how do I put this, very visible visceral excitement.
Yeah.
Compliance, it's a little more subdued, but these people love what they do, and we have the blessing of helping companies with ethics. So our focus is bringing ethics to the center of business. That's our slogan. And so what that means is we're helping companies with reports of harassment and theft and all these other types of behavior, and we're helping those compliance teams to build the culture that prevents that stuff from happening.
Yeah.
And it really results in better business. So it's a blessing to go into a company and feel like I'm having that much impact every day.
And so what's the hardest part of the job?
Hardest part in product, well, we've already talked about product management, which is juggling all of the competing interests and keeping the ship moving in a direction that is both serving customers and also profitable. Right? That's really hard. I think on a daily basis, it tends to be a similar challenge of time management. It's not even a matter of is there enough to do? There's always too much to do. There's never enough time. But if I can't manage my own day, if I can't manage my own schedule, how am I possibly going to serve my company?
Yeah.
So the hardest part and the most discipline is required around making sure that I wake up and I know what my top two things are going to be for that day, making sure I get those done in the morning before I get swallowed by email and all the other fires that are going on, right?
Because I got to believe that you are the kind of a catch-all for marketing, for sales, and for
Yeah.
product.
It occurred to me this morning. I said every team in a way has a diagram where all of the other teams are around them. And I know that in product management, there's a similar diagram to product marketing, but the surrounding orbs are slightly different. We all think we're at the center, and in a way, they all are. Product marketing and product management are very cross-functional, but at the same time, the other teams are as well. I don't want to undercut that or undersell that.
But how about things like, because you're kind of setting the messaging and the differentiation, how do you know you're right?
Talking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for product management and product marketing is to make sure that we're not relying on our own opinions.
Yeah.
And as you know, product isn't always the team that's talking to the most people, but they can easily become distracted and not talk to enough and make mistakes. So one of the things, one of the frameworks that I use, and I know you're big on process and big on doing the right thing and setting the system up so that you don't forget things. One of the frameworks is called pragmatic marketing, that is very prominent in the product management space. They talk just constantly. It's a mantra of get out there and talk to people. Your opinion, while interesting, is irrelevant. It's the customer that matters. It's the prospect that matters. So it's about getting enough data and bringing that data to bear to show and demonstrate which direction the business should be going in.
Yeah, but even that's hard because I bet you have a very diverse customer base.
It is. In this particular field, we're selling into all sorts of industries
Yeah.
and lots of different size companies as well. So it is a matter of being able to segment and understand which of those segments we're chasing right now, which one are we going to sell to, and let's make sure we're building the right solutions for the same group that we're selling to.
Yeah.
Because if I build a solution without that focus in mind, all of a sudden I have features that this particular group doesn't care about. Yeah. And I want to align both what we're building and what we're selling and what we're marketing so that the message resonates and that the solution matches the business problems.
And you're also the kind of the go-to guy for the sales team.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're up against a competitor, I'm sure the
Of course.
manager says, go talk to John.
Right. So we build competitive decks, we build battle cards, we build all sorts of support to help our reps with answering those objections, countering those points before the competitor makes them. And it's sometimes it's a challenge to keep up with some of the vast network of or the vast market of competitors, and make sure that which one of these which one of these do we encounter more often in deals? How much time should I spend on this versus that? It's an art.
Yeah. And how do you judge success?
Um, I judge success in the product profession. I think it's about two things. One is, am I winning? Is my team winning deals, and are we retaining customers?
Yeah.
So as much as it's my responsibility to help my sales reps to win opportunities, I'm also responsible for ensuring that once we have a customer, that they stay a customer.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the features that a current customer is calling for are not the same things that a prospect is asking about. So we have to uh, prioritize among our limited development resources which of those areas are, how much are we investing in solutions to problems our current customers have versus things that will help us win more new deals. And that's a challenge.
So
But they're both necessary.
right. Yeah. So you interface quite a bit with customer success.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's another part of the orbit. So it's customer success, it's marketing, it's sales, it's product. Right. That's probably my four most close relationships.
And do you have a particular cadence? Are you like sales has a quarterly cadence, marketing usually has an annual one?
Yeah, we're in between. So my team consumes the roadmap from our product management organization and aligns that to the marketing calendar. And we also put a few things on the marketing calendar that say, well, once we reach this particular point, this product is worth a big launch because now we can speak to these new value deliveries that we can offer. So once we get to point A, which is let's say June of next year, we need a big impact in the market. So let's think about what sort of campaign should be running, which ones can we start earlier, which ones should start at the time that the product actually goes to market,
Yeah.
and how do we equip the sales teams to capitalize on all that.
Yeah. And who do you consider your customer?
My customer is sales, my customer is marketing, my customer's product in a way. I product is a little more upstream from us.
Yeah.
We're not writing the roadmaps, but we take that and typically go straight to sales and marketing with that.
Yeah. And how do you negotiate with product management if you feel like they're going in the wrong direction?
Interesting. I have thought of that relationship as there's sort of a two-way spin, and it's actually really simple. On one side, we're talking to and understanding the market drivers and the big business problems. So we bring that feedback to product management. Product management drills in a little further and understands how do we actually solve that, and then they bring that solution to us, and we help get the message out. So we're kind of in the beginning and the end. Product is in the middle. What we try to do is make sure that we're providing enough data and enough insight on what we're hearing from customers and prospects and our sales reps and our success teams, so that our product team is enabled to make the right decision. I can't make it for them, but I can certainly raise data and bring in data when I see something that I'm not convinced about or that seems like it's off track. And sometimes they reply and say, well, here's why we made this decision, and they show me some data I wasn't aware of. It's a negotiation. It's a conversation.
Yeah. And what deliverables do you have?
I have everything from talk tracks for roadmaps. So that's actually what I was working on yesterday. What are the conversations that we're going to enable our sales team to have about these new roadmap items? How do I equip them to talk about the business value and not as much about the feature detail? Go to your solution consultant for the detail, but here's what you're going to pitch when you're talking to a prospect. My deliverables include So the different versions of the roadmap. Our product team provides one internal roadmap, and then we actually make about 5 out of that. One is for the solution consultants, which is a little more detailed. There's a couple for the sales reps, one for smaller, for the smaller opportunities, one for the larger, because we're going to talk about different specific features within different themes for those audiences. And they're all the work is being done, but some of the work applies more to certain prospects and some applies more to others. So we tailor those roadmaps to the right segment of opportunities, which is it's a more rigorous process than I've seen in a number of companies, but I really like it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sorry. I was going to say, I feel like we're able to actually make more of a difference with our sales teams, and we're investing more in equipping them better than I've done or I've seen in other companies.
And who's your go-to resource to know if you're right or wrong?
Everyone. So I think the answer to that is the product team. I look to them to see, once I've created messaging, have I said anything that seems wrong, that's not accurate? And then I go to see from the sales leadership, let me show you what I'm thinking. Here's the way that I'm expecting to position this. Here's what we've drafted. Give me some feedback before I roll this out to all the reps.
Yeah.
So there's that. But at the end of the day, I really don't know until I start to see win rates coming in and pipeline progression. If we're stubbing our toe at a certain point, or we can't seem to sell X, what am I not equipping them to talk about? What are we not solving in those opportunities, or is there truly a gap in the product? And that's sort of, we're in the middle of all of that, trying to figure those questions out.
And I bet, what do you really compete against? Is it an in-house process? Is it direct competitors? Is it doing
all
nothing?
of the above? All of the above. Probably a lot of it is doing nothing, or using an internal. I'm using a spreadsheet. So I'm going to use a spreadsheet to manage these phone calls because they don't happen that often in some companies. So it's okay if I just jot down, here's what Susie said. She had reported an accusation of X, and the problem comes in where because of the complexity of what some of these accusations are, it means getting the right teams internally involved, sometimes going to the police, right? It's a complicated thing, and they can't, and the DOJ no longer allows companies to be sloppy. So it is possible to do some of this stuff manually, but it's difficult. And so we have some direct competitors. We have a lot of folks that use SharePoint for, here's the new policy on anti-bribery. So here's how not to bribe someone. And is the version that the sales reps have seen the latest copy? Yeah. Do you have any idea did they even see it? Do you have records of that? So we're dealing with all those kinds of problems, and they can be handled manually, but it's challenging.
Yeah. And what's the typical feedback you get from salespeople about either what they need or what's resonating, what's not?
We get a lot of, naturally, we get a lot of feature requests. We get a lot of, we're, as I said, we're blessed with a lot of companies that stick with us after they sign their initial contract. The retention rate's quite good. And so we're doing a lot of things right. We have great service. The product solves problems. It's innovative. There's always people that want more features, but for the most part, we're doing really well. When the retention rate's over 95%, you're doing something right.
Yeah. And what excites you about this role?
I like solving problems I like solving problems. So whether that's building a product and I know that I'm solving the problem for the customer, or in this case, I'm solving problems, helping our sales teams to be better at what they do. Yeah. And yes, indirectly, I'm doing the same thing. I'm helping solve problems for customers. But right now, I just actually enjoy enabling the internal teams to be more effective.
And what's the persona that the company's trying to sell to? Is it operations, or?
We actually sell to primarily the compliance officer, so chief compliance or ethics compliance officer.
And that reports into like the CFO, or?
Sometimes it's into the CEO. Sometimes it is to the audit committee. It just depends on, there's a few different, it's typically not part of legal. Legal and compliance tend to be separate because there's slightly different drivers. Yeah. Compliance wants to prevent problems, and legal's handling problems once they've happened. Yeah. And those don't always mean the same thing.
I bet that's not an easy persona to market to. Huh?
It's not. And I've also sold to the information security officer as well, the CISO, and other roles, and that's really challenging to sell to, because they're
bombarded.
They're bombarded, and they don't trust people that are selling them stuff, and they get all sorts of material they're skeptical of. So that's hard. It's a similar thing.
And they initiate this as opposed to being assigned this?
You mean the being setting up a compliance program?
Yeah, because
or you mean the being a compliance officer?
Being a compliance officer, but like the CISO, I think most sales reps misunderstand it. It's like you got to have somebody internally bring it to the CISO. Usually, they're not searching for things.
Got you. Exactly. Yeah. It's a relationship. It's a relationship sale. Yeah. These are not things that we just walk in and throw materials down and 2 days later we're sold. It's something you have to show expertise, show empathy, show understanding, and wait for a problem to really exist and be consultative.
Yeah. And what makes a great product marketer?
Great product person, I think, is curious.
Yeah.
Going back to what I said about not relying upon like my own opinion, I have bias like everyone else does, but I need to check that bias. I need to make decisions based on what my customers and my prospects and my market needs, not what I want them to need.
Yeah, cool. Hey, I appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect and follow you?
I am on Twitter at John Peltier. I am actually on LinkedIn as well, and that's my two primary places. You can certainly go to conversant.com for my organization.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Hey, I want to make sure you're checking out B2BRevenue.com. That is where you can get a free copy of an ebook that I did. It's a real ebook. It's not a fluff book. It shows and talks about how companies make buying decisions and how you can influence that from both a marketing and a sales standpoint, how to find all the people that are in the decision path and what they need to see, know, and touch and feel before they make a product selection. If your team needs some coaching, some help, some training, some systems, some processes that do work today, because we know what doesn't work, or you know what doesn't work, I'll show you what does work and how to connect and get into pretty much any account. It includes deal coaching and content, community, and I can customize it for your particular company. Just go to b2brevenue.com, look under training, schedule a call with me. We can talk it over, or just sign up. You can pay per month or all at once, whichever makes most sense for your budget. Also, I put out videos pretty much daily on LinkedIn and on YouTube. On LinkedIn, it's Brian G. Burns, and on YouTube, it's Brian Burns Sales. Just search for that if you like to consume some video content. And if you see me on LinkedIn, please put a comment and a share and a like on some of the videos. I really appreciate it. I've got a company page for each podcast. This one, the B2B Revenue Leadership Podcast, where I put both content and humor videos out daily. And tell a friend about the podcast. Really appreciate you listening. Check out the show notes for all the partners and the connections you can make there, the coupon codes for the products to evaluate them, see if they're a right match for you. And we'll see you next time.